this was week 2. We were practicing carving out all of our bowls. So from week 1 I had 4 bowls. So I've got to carve out 4 bowls, and as you can see I'm just pressing down some wet clay against my almost dry piece. There is like stage names for all the steps that are like with the clay, like there's wet clay and then slightly dried clay and there's like brittle clay. If I remember I'll put it on the screen but most likely not. But yeah, week 2. The key with this is to keep your elbows right in at your hips to give you some stability, and I believe it was to slow down the wheel, not to like a fast pace, and you kind of have to apply a lot of pressure but not enough pressure that it would break. It's a very in-between process, all of it. I eventually got the hang of it. I think it basically meant that I wasn't holding the tool right in the beginning. See it there, some nice little ribbons coming off of it. Basically just meant I was keeping it flat for long enough. But this is still not held correctly. I think I start holding it correctly in like 5 minutes. Also, I'm trying to remove like almost the entire foot of it because I didn't want it to stand on such a high ledge. Because I built it up so high, I could do that and also have a really nice little foot ring. So that's kind of what I ended up doing, is just carving away most of that bottom section for all of them. You see some real carving action. Look at that. Ooh, nice. Also, because you're carving down, or at least there's like a lot of things, a lot of depth there, you can see it kind of looks a bit wet, and that's because I'm carving into the part that hasn't actually dried yet. this is where we had to kind of start thinking about how we wanted our base to sit on cabinets. And I believe if you had a skinny base like I have, it's quite narrow, you were better to do a foot ring that had a really narrow rim around it. So you can see that it's only like fingernail width, and then I would be carving out all of that inner circle part. I think as well, if you had something quite wide, you could just not have a foot ring, but because mine was quite narrow and like tapered in quite substantially, I needed it for stability. You gotta give it all a little wet with a sponge just to make sure everything's smoothed out, all good and ready to be fired. Also, I kind of went through the bottom of this one. This was my practice one. We're all kind of told, like, pick the one you least love the most. And I kind of went through the bottom of it. So after just wetting it all up and making sure, I just had to smooth it out, which is tragic, but it works completely fine now. Getting the bowl center is really all that matters in this, honestly. If you take 20 minutes getting it center, it will honestly take 5 minutes to do the rest of it. Also, this is my worst bowl. This is like the wonkiest one. It had like a massive ledge. I think it's the one that I threw out too fast last time and it just flopped. But I think I managed to keep it under control in the carving. in a foot ring so that it doesn't fall over. Attempts with this bowl just because of how wonky it is. Oh, I forgot I did that. I think I ended up scraping it off. I'm not entirely sure. Yep, there's me scraping it off. Oh yeah, and then this week we had to put a little maker's mark on it. So mine was just an N with a C with an underline. Because I think someone else had T in the class, so I didn't want to do a T on it. Now this one had a floppy bottom base, so I knew I had to flatten that out. However, everything else about this bowl was absolutely perfect. This was my favourite bowl. You can see how symmetrical it is. It's so pretty. And I knew because I'd gotten rid of the rest of the bases that I would be completely fine getting rid of this base. And again, just sticking it down with some wet clay. Too hard on it, like from the side, it will still move with the wet clay, but this was the best way by far to like keep it down so it doesn't just slide everywhere. Even while you watch me like carve this third bowl out, you can just tell how much better this bowl was than all the rest. Like, things just were happening with this bowl. This bowl was everything I've ever loved in my entire life. Now, I know I said the number 2 was the worst bowl. However, I might have been wrong, and this last bowl actually might have been the worst one. It was bumpy in all the wrong places.
Just do little cheese bits. It's beautiful. Yeah, the cheese curd is just at the end there. It only works one way.
Right.
But you can just like your grey cheese.
Yeah, so the cheese grater is basically just like a bit of sandpaper, but it's like cheese grater texture, and you basically just run it over the wood, and it only works in one direction. I don't know why I was running it back and forth, because obviously it would only be working in one direction, but I think it's just faster, you know, repetitive motion and all that jazz. But yeah, that definitely helped. I tried to get as much of the like crack looking thing out of it. That wasn't actually a crack, that was, I left it like that. I don't know why I did. I don't know why I left it like that. I think maybe I was thinking like Chip from Beauty and the Beast kind of style, but then when I came, I maybe forgot that that was what I was going for, and I basically just sanded it away. And then also if you look, the like, I'm gonna call it the belly of the bowl, like it's sagging. Either way, at the end of the day, I ended up using that one and number 2 as like stackable, so like that little one is smaller than number 2, so I ended up just painting them to match. Yeah. For the last step, I just decided to get a little cheese grater and kind of file out the rim to make it either flat. I think maybe I settled for flat on top, but honestly just flat in any direction. But yeah, I'm very happy with all of them, how they turned out, and the next 2 weeks we cover the mugs. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to try and get them out as quick as possible. I was meant to schedule them all to post whilst I was on holiday and I didn't. So if anyone is holding me to my words on my last video, I'm sorry. But I don't really know how to YouTube. But yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.